Last three on this page, again, we're doing the sine or cosine function problem type 3, where we have both a change in our period and a shift to our graph. But again, basically we're doing the exact same thing we did on problem type 1 and problem type 2. I'm going to start with my cosine function. So 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Since it's my cosine function, I have my amplitude up if it's positive, and then negative in the middle, and 0 and 0. So keep in mind that if my amplitude or my number in front of here is negative, then the negatives go first and then the positives are in the middle. In this case, my amplitude is a positive 3/2, so I can put those in there. I got to figure out what my phase shift and my period are going to turn out to be by setting what's in the parentheses equal to each of one of these values. So I'm going to say 2/3 x minus pi over 3 equals 0. 2/3 x minus pi over 3 equals pi over 2. 2/3 x minus pi over 3 equals pi. 2/3 x minus pi over 3 equals 3 pi over 2. And 2/3 x minus pi over 3 equals 2 pi. So I'm going to solve each one of these. First thing I'm going to do is add my pi over 3. Since I don't have a whole lot of writing room, I'm not going to do all of it on the board, but 0 plus pi over 3 is pi over 3. Here, I'm going to have it over 6, so 3 pi over 6 plus 2 pi over 6 is going to give me 5 pi over 6. If you're bad with fractions, eliminate the pi and put a 1 there. 1/2 plus 1/3 should be 5/6, right? Here, I'm going to have 3 pi over 3 plus 1 more pi over 3, so I'm going to get 4 pi over 3. Here, I'm going to go over 6, so I'm going to get 9 plus 2, 9, 10, 11. 11 pi over 6. And then here, I am going to have 6 plus 1, which is 7 pi over 3. So each of these should change by the same amount. If I think about this, this is 2 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, and 14 pi over 6. I made them all over 6, so it's going up by 3 each time, right? So this is now going to be at pi over 3. This one will be at 5 pi over 6. This one will be at 4 pi over 3. This will be 11 pi over 6, and this will be 7 pi over 3. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I not change that graph? Oh, I'm not done. I'm going, that's not going to graph on there, but I haven't finished my problem yet. I only did one step. I added the pi over 3. I still have to do the 2/3 part of it. All right, I only did half my problem. So I need to get rid of my fraction, so now I need to take each of these times 3 over 2. I was going to say it won't fit on my graph right. But I didn't finish, so therefore. So now, let's get rid of those because those were not, whoop, put my pen in the wrong spot. Those were not my end numbers yet because I cheated. So now, if we multiply, this is going to give me pi over 2. This one, 3 goes into here 2 times, so I get 5 pi over 4. This one, the 3's cancel out. 2 goes into 4 2 times, so I get 2 pi. This one, 3 goes in here 2 times, so I get 11 pi over 4. And here the 3's cancel out, so I get 7 pi over 2. So, we have pi over 2, 5 pi over 4, and 2 pi. Then we have 11 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 2. So pi over 2, I'm in fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pi over 2 would be here, and it's a cosine curve, so I have to go up to 3/2, which is 1.5. 5 pi over 4, so 4, 5, I'm going to cross at 0. 2 pi is going to go down to negative 1.5. 11 pi over 4, that'd be 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll cross right on the line. And 7 pi over 2 would be 14. 11, 12, 13, 14, going to be up to 1.5. And so my cosine curve is going to look something sort of like that. So I got to do 2 steps on this one if I don't forget to do the second step. Add my number on this one and then multiply by my 3/2, and then I have my new starting values. So this time we're doing the sine curve. Sine curve. Whoops. It doesn't want to erase the board. It wants to do that one over. Sine curve. 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Since it's a sine curve, 0, 0, 0. And my amplitude and the opposite of my amplitude, which is 5 over 2. So, we are going to figure out our shift, and so we're going to say 3, whoops. Oop. It's writing a little crazy now. See if that here goes away, if I can erase. All right, so 3/2. See if I erase, if I can get this to work right. All right, try it again. Sine curve, 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi, 0, 0, 0. This will be at negative, or no, this won't be at negative. This will be at positive 5/2, and this will be at negative 5/2. All right, so 3/2 x plus pi over 2 is going to equal 0. So I'm going to, or I might as well write them down. 3/2 x plus pi over 2 equals pi over 2. 3/2 x plus pi over 2 equals pi. 3/2 x plus pi over 2 equals 3 pi over 2. And 3/2 x plus pi over 2 equals 2 pi. Let me do both steps at the same time so I don't forget to finish my problem. I am going to go ahead and subtract my pi over 2, which would be negative pi over 2, and multiply by the reciprocal 2/3. So I'm going to get negative pi over 3. This one, I'm going to subtract my pi over 2, which is 0, multiply by my 2/3, which is my reciprocal. I'm going to get 0. Here, I'm going to subtract my pi over 2, which is pi over 2, multiply by my 2/3, so I get pi over 3. This one, I'm going to subtract my pi over 2, so I get 2 pi over 2, which is this pi, times my 2/3, so 2 pi over 3. And here I'm going to minus my pi over 2, This would be 4 minus 1, which would be 3 pi over 2. Almost could read that. 3 pi over 2 times 2/3 cancels, I get pi. So, my new answers. Negative pi over 3, 0, positive pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, and pi, which would be 3 pi over 3. So, at negative pi over 3, these are over 6, so that would be right here, I'm at 0. At 0, I'm up to 5/2, which would be 2.5. At pi over 3, we'd be back to 0. At 2 pi over 3, which would be 4 pi over 6, I'm down to negative 2.5. And at pi, I'm at 0. And so my curve looks something sort of like that. One more on this paper. Again, we're going to do the cosine curve. And so for cosine, we have 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. For cosine, we're going to go our amplitude, which is 3 at the beginning and the end. Halfway in between, we have a negative 3, and then zeros at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Again, if this was negative, we do the negative first and then the positive and then the negative. So we are going to do 2x plus pi equals 0. 2x plus pi equals pi over 2. 2x plus pi equals pi. 2x plus pi equals 3 pi over 2, and 2x plus pi equals 2 pi. And we're going to solve each of those. So we're going to subtract pi, which gives me negative pi, divide by 2, which is multiplying by 1/2, so negative pi over 2. Here we're going to subtract pi, which is negative pi over 2, multiply by 1/2, so negative pi over 4. Here we're going to subtract pi, which is 0, multiply by 1/2, which is still 0. Here we're going to subtract pi, so 3 pi over 2 minus 2 pi over 2 would be 2 pi over 2 times 1/2, pi over 4. Here we're going to subtract pi, which is pi times 1/2, so pi over 2. So our new values. We're going to have negative pi over 2, negative pi over 4, 0, pi over 4, and pi over 2. So these are in fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative pi over 2 would be at a negative 1/2, and then positive 3, because I'm doing the cosine curve, I go up first. Negative pi over 4 is at 0. At 0, we're down to negative 3. At pi over 4, we're at 0. And at 2 pi, or pi over 2, I'm back up at 3. And so my cosine curve looks something sort of like that, all smushed together. All right, so keep in mind that normally, if this is positive, you go up first. If it's negative, you go down first on your amplitude and the opposite of your amplitude.